We finally have some news on Landon Dickerson. So this is an emergency Eagle Eye podcast brought to you by Nissan. Reuben, Frank, and Dave Zangaro. Rube, we have some news, but we don't have the full picture just yet.
We have news. We don't know exactly what it means, but it could be worse. If we had heard there was an Achilles tear, torn ACL, we know it's a meniscus injury, which potentially is not season ending. Now we don't know the severity of it. There's a full tear which needs a full reconstruct, or it could be something you can scope, and he would only miss a few weeks. So we know he's going to miss some time. We just don't know how much, and I would assume we would. Adam Schefter reporting the meniscus part of it, and he's going to get other opinions and see what the best course of action is. But the good news is there's a fair chance we'll see him play football again at some point this season.
Yeah, and this is obviously a team with high aspirations this year, planning on a very long season. So, yeah, I mean, that's the bit of news that's very good, right? Is that there's a route where Dickerson returns at some point this season. We don't know exactly when that would be. And that's kind of the deal with these meniscus injuries. We've been around long enough to see them that it depends on how severe the injury is. It depends on the action plan. And that really is what determines the timetable.
Yeah, it's something that if it's not a super serious injury, he might not even need a scope. It's something that you can just rest and rehab for a month and get back on the field. If it's a minor meniscus and he needs a scope, it could be like 6 to 8 weeks. If it's a complete rebuild of the meniscus, of a full tear, now we're looking at 3, 4, 6 months. The Super Bowl is 6 months from, I think, today or yesterday or something like that, but it's 6 months away. So we just don't know, but I feel like it's good news in that it rules out a couple of things that would definitely, an Achilles would definitely be season ending. An ACL would most likely be. You never quite know. Some guys can get back, but at least it's something where he has a chance to get back this year.
Yeah, I think that is the bright spot here. Obviously, they're going to miss him. He's been excellent in his career, 3-time Pro Bowler the last 3 seasons. And you think back, he's been pretty durable. And it's not to say he hasn't been injured. I think he's dealt with plenty of injuries in his 4 years in the NFL. It's just that they've been things he's mostly been able to play through. And that was the big question when the Eagles drafted him in the second round, was that, is he going to last in the NFL? He had so many injuries in college, and he wouldn't have been there in the second round if not for those injuries. So the Eagles knew they were taking a risk. And I mean, it obviously has worked out. 3-time Pro Bowler, they won a Super Bowl with him. But here we are, and yeah, it's a shame he gets hurt now.
Yeah, and he's had a torn ACL in that right knee. I think when he was back at Florida State before he went to Alabama, he's had right ankle, right knee, left knee, and he's had a lot of stuff. When you draft him, if you say he's going to make 3 Pro Bowls and help you win a Super Bowl, it's a great draft pick. So, and it's not like he's finished, but there is certainly a concern about the cumulative effect. Boy, I always struggle with that word, cumulative effect of all these injuries. And is he going to be the same player with them? He hasn't certainly shown any sign of not being that great player with all the stuff in his background. So you kind of hope for the best. 26-year-old guy, he's been through a lot physically. What a great player. So I think in the next few days, we'll learn a little bit more and see what the plan is, see what kind of surgery he needs, if any, and figure out how long he might miss. But he's got a chance to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned he's still just 26, because to me, I still view him as an ascending player, which is high praise for a guy who's already been a 3-time Pro Bowler. But I kind of don't think right now he's one of the 2 or 3 best guards in the league, but I think he has that potential.
He's one of the 5 best.
Okay.
I would say. But yeah, I think if he can stay healthy, and that's going to be the big thing. We know he's never satisfied with his performance. We know that. I mean, he told you what after his first Pro Bowl, he should have been cut. I can't believe I'm on the team. I should be on the practice squad. You go up to him after he makes the Pro Bowl, and he says, "I didn't deserve that." So you love that he's never satisfied. He's always going to try to get better. He's always going to work at it. And I think when you're around guys like Kelsey and Lane Johnson early in your career, you're never going to be satisfied. You're always going to share the hunger to always get better that they have. That's a big part of this culture, that O-line and the whole team. So he's never satisfied, and he'll keep working at it. And I'm sure he'll find ways to try to get better while he's rehabbing. But hopefully he has a long career ahead of him, because he's a fun player to watch. You don't think of guards as being fun players, but he sure is. He's such a powerful, athletic, dominating guy. He's just fun to watch.
Yeah, and a fun personality for his teammates in that locker room. So I hope he's still able to be around when he's not playing. So what do the Eagles do now? Because they come into this season, Mekhi Becton is gone. He leaves in free agency to join the Chargers. So they're already replacing one of their starting guards. And to his credit, Tyler Steen has put together a pretty nice training camp. He's taken every single rep at right guard through 12 practices, looked really good in that preseason game, only played one series, but that was all it took. So he has really solidified himself as a starter, and we thought it was definitely going to be at right guard. Either way, he's going to be on the field.
Yeah, I think the biggest question, and I think the obvious guy to start either at right or left guard, is going to be Matt Pryor, who was an Eagles sixth round draft pick in 2018. The Goddard Sweat draft is a really good draft. He's bounced around a little bit. He was only here for 2 years. He's bounced around, but he had a really good year playing guard for the Bears last year, graded out really high. Pro Football Focus had him as the 6th best pass blocking guard in the league out of 66 guards that played at least 500 snaps. So he's a capable guy. He's played on both sides. So maybe you go into it assuming he's the next man up. And I think he's the obvious choice. Played a lot of football. Do you want to weaken 2 spots and move Steen to left guard? I don't know that it would weaken it, but he's taken all the reps at right guard. Do you move Pryor into right guard and move Tyler out to left guard, or the other way around? They've both played on both sides. Tyler Steen started a game last year at left guard when Landon was hurt. So it's an interesting thing that Stout's going to figure out. You have the best O-line coach in the game, maybe one of the best ever, making this call. So you totally trust his decision-making. But there are other options. Brett Toth has been around for 7 years now, hasn't played very much, but they kept him around for a reason. And he's been exclusively a guard. Started out as a tackle when he got here out of Army. He played center a little bit. His snapping, maybe not the best. They got Kenyon Green in that trade with Houston. There's some young guys around, but to me, Matt Pryor makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, the game that Tyler Steen started at left guard last year was the NFC Championship game. You remember Landon Dickerson had to start at center in that game, and then he got hurt. Cam Jurgens finished it off, but what didn't change was Steen at left guard and played pretty well. So yeah, I think the timeline here will really dictate Jeff Stoutland's plan. If it's going to be a while, then you kind of throw the idea of moving guys around. You don't want to do that. You throw that out the window, and you just get your 5 best in the spots that make sense. So if it's a longer term thing, I think it does make sense to move Steen to left guard, get Pryor at right guard. And, it is a shame in a way that Steen has run away with that right guard job, because if he hadn't, Matt Pryor would have probably already gotten snaps at right guard next to Lane Johnson, next to Cam Jurgens. Just kind of a weird way that this worked out. And certainly you don't fault them for handling it the way they did. But, there was a world where Matt Pryor would have already gotten first team reps this summer.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, I expected him to challenge Tyler Steen for that right guard spot when they signed him. That never happened. It's a credit to Tyler Steen. He just kind of took ownership of that spot, had a really good summer. But Matt Pryor's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of right guard. He's gotten a lot of snaps with the second team. Obviously, he's a veteran. What is he? 2018. So he's been around a long time in the league, and he's the kind of guy. Look, these are the moves Howie makes that don't get a lot of big headlines during the offseason, but valuable backup guy, valuable experience. Um, those guys are hard to find, and uh, they're lucky they have them.
Yeah, offensive line depth is so important. We've seen it sink seasons here before when you start getting injuries on the line. And I think it was fair to question their line depth. So they don't have that Tyler Steen on the bench this year
Right.
like they did last year. So, uh, and we need a ruling, I guess, but you picked Matt Pryor to be the opening day starting right guard. At least an asterisk next to it if
No,
it comes by way of injury.
I don't think so. I wasn't asked to explain why. I was just asked who the starting right guard would be, and I answered
You would
correct.
happily win on a loophole, wouldn't you?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's the most obvious option. Brett Toth, if you're just looking at the practice reps, yeah, he's been the guy in there for Landon whenever he's missed time. But I think that's more of not wanting to alter the second and third teams, a guy that at least Jeff Stoutland trusts. I'd have a hard time imagining they'd go into a season with Toth as a starting left guard. He's a guy he's played 20 games in his career, just 2 starts. I think they'd prefer the experience. The one name we haven't talked about, another guy who's not experienced, but has been repping second team guard, is Darian Kennard.
3-time Super Bowl winner, which puts him on a Hall of Fame track. He didn't actually play in any of those Super Bowls, but yeah, I think he's actually, I think, had a good camp too, and I'm sure he's in the mix. It'll be interesting to see. Look, you don't have a lot of time, so I don't think Stout's going to start like running different guys in there for first team reps. I think he's going to make a call and go with it. Could be wrong. But Kennard's an interesting guy. Certainly has the rings to show for it. It won 2 with the Chiefs and obviously last year with the Eagles. But it'll be interesting to see if Stout does mix the reps up and maybe get some different guys first team reps. You don't have a lot of time, so you got to get, if it is Pryor, you got to get him comfortable with Jordan Mailata. You got to get him comfortable with Cam Jurgens. I know somebody messaged me and said, can Jurgens play left guard and bring back Kelsey? That ain't happening. I actually just talked to Kelsey after practice the other day about retirement, and he's never had any second thoughts or regrets. I mean, he's not coming back. That's never going to happen. But yeah, I think you need all the reps you can with the 5 guys you're gonna line up against the Cowboys on September 4th.
Yeah, that's important. And if Stoutland has a strong inclination as to who it's going to be, he's going to plug and play them, and they're going to get as many reps as they can over the next few weeks. If he's not sure, that's when we'll see some rotation. But you're right, the evaluation process at some point will need to end, and they'll need to get those guys as many reps as they can in that alignment.
Yeah. And I can't stop thinking about 2017. You lose Jason Peters week 7 against Washington with a torn ACL, I think ACL and MCL. Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame left tackle. And I mean, Big V at that point was a lot less accomplished than Matt Pryor is now. Big V goes in and starts the rest of the year at left tackle. He was a 5th round pick in his second year. And I think he had started a couple games, I believe, at right tackle as a rookie, a few games at right tackle, but never played left tackle, goes in for a Hall of Famer and holds his own and was actually really good in the Super Bowl, and they win it. And so it's not the end of the world. And when Jeff Stoutland's the O-line coach, you just feel like he's gonna have whoever goes in there prepared, and he's not going to be Landon Dickerson, but I just feel like Stout will have 5 guys ready by the time the games count.
Yeah, he's been really good at coaching every player on the team, not just the guys who are starting for this exact situation.
Yeah, and it's still relatively early in training camp, 3.5 weeks to the opener, so that's big. It's if this happened in the last preseason game or at practice the last week before the opener, that would be a lot. That would be a lot worse for two reasons. It would mean Landon, you're looking further into the season to when he comes back, and it's also less time to get your five guys and your new guy acclimated and playing together. So they got some time, not a ton of it, but 3.5 weeks to work on it.
I have some other questions for you, but let's take a quick break and then finish up.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
Okay, we're back on this emergency Eagle Eye podcast brought to you by Nissan. Reuben Frank and Dave Zangaro. Reuben mentioned him earlier, but Kenyon Green, I think he's the name that we're going to get asked about a lot. Former first-round pick, part of the return in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Any chance it could be him?
I just don't see it. I don't think he's been very good. Gosh, has he? He got here and started working with the third team at left guard. I just don't see it. I don't think he makes the team. It's maybe he has a better chance to make the team now. I think Howie's going to look for guard depth, and I think he'll find somebody who's better than Kenyon Green. Plus, he's not even healthy, so I just don't see how he would fit in.
Yeah, so Green came into camp with an injury, a knee injury that kept him out for a little while. He did return, played or practiced 6 times, and he actually worked his way up. He got some second-team reps by the end of that stretch, but recently he's missed time with a shoulder injury. So, yeah, I mean, if he's not back on the practice field soon, he has no shot at winning this job. If he can come back, and if there is a question about who it's going to be, could he potentially get in the mix? I think so. It's just unlikely at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He just hasn't shown me in the practices he did participate in. I really haven't seen much. I think he's a long shot, big time long shot. But he was at one point, he was a high pick and highly regarded, did not play well. He was in Houston 3 years, was missed 1 year, did not play well the other 2 years. I just not sure it's in his DNA to go out there and be a solid starter.
You mentioned how he may be looking around for depth on the offensive line. Is there a chance the starting guard is not here yet?
There's a chance. I remember the Eagles. I'm going way back. This is going to be one of my when I stories. 1988, Eagles didn't really have a right tackle, and they acquired Ron Heller in a trade like 5 days before the opener from the Buccaneers. The opener was against the Buccaneers, and he started, and the Eagles won 41-14, I believe, in Tampa. So
you said that to me like I would know the answer. I was a baby.
That was my first opener that I ever covered that day in Tampa. I believe it was 41-14. And that was Eric Allen's first career game, and he picked off Vinny Testaverde. He had an interception in his first NFL game. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. But I do think it's not out of the question. It would have to be soon. It would certainly help if it was a player that had some familiarity with this scheme. I don't know if there's anybody who's been here. And I don't know what it would take to get a guy who's good enough to start in the opener and be better than Matt Pryor. Certainly possible. I think it's unlikely, but knowing Howie, he's going to work on it. He's going to try to find somebody, even if it's not a potential starter, at least depth, because they're going to need that.
Yeah, you're probably right. So September 4th, Eagles get the ball first. They trot out the offensive line. August 11th, you're making this guess. What does that offensive line look like from left to right?
Well, I got Jordan Mailata at left tackle.
It's a good start.
I have Tyler Steen at left guard, Cam Jurgens at center, Matt Pryor at right guard, and Lane Johnson at right tackle.
I agree with you.
I'm not saying that because I picked Matt Pryor to be the starting right guard. I think that's what it's going to look like.
I do too. Is there a chance that they don't make that shuffle and they leave Steen at right guard, I think that's possible because he has had so much time there if he feels comfortable there. But based on his time at left guard already, I think there's also a chance they look at this and think that's the best option.
Yeah, and and then you look at Matt Pryor and where's he more comfortable? He's played both. I think he's mainly been a right tackle. Has he taken any reps at right guard? I don't think he's taken any second team reps at left guard this summer.
No, it's been Pryor and Kennard with that second team. They've been shuffling back and forth between tackle and guard. And I'd say recently we've seen more Kennard at right guard and more Pryor at tackle.
Yeah, Pryor. I mean, he looks more like a tackle. So he certainly can play tackle. I think he's better guard. But maybe Kennard, maybe go out there, practice on Tuesday and see Darian Kennard in there. They like him. So that's certainly possible.
You have anything else before we wrap this one up?
The other thing is Matt Pryor might be the kind of guy that they like as a backup more than a starter because he can pretty much play anywhere. So he can be that big V type of guy who can go in and if you need him to get you through a game anywhere.
Yeah, you just might not have that luxury right now.
You might not.
Okay. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. This was just an emergency, a bonus pod. We wanted to kind of react to the news a little bit. Regularly scheduled pod after practice on Tuesday. We'll report back to you and let you know who was out there with that starting offensive line. For Reuben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.